Every morning, I arrive at the horizon spire before the sun fully wakes Manhattan. The lobby glows with gold lights spilling through walls of glass, so clean you could mistake the reflections for other worlds. I've polished every inch of this place, the marble floors, the chrome railings, the crystal chandeliers that sway like stars. It's strange to think I'm invisible in the building I helped make perfect. My daughter, Lily, waits quietly in the corner while I work. She's 13, small, curious, and far too smart for her own good. While other kids scroll through phones, she sketches the skyline in a notebook held together by tape. I tell her not to get used to this view, that our world sits far below the clouds, but she only smiles and says, "Mom, someday I'll design something even taller." Sometimes I believe her. The spire feels alive in the mornings, the hum of elevators, the rhythm of footsteps, the endless voices of people who will never learn my name. But lately, something's been off. The floor trembles when no one's walking. The glass walls shiver when the wind outside is still. Once, while mopping near the elevator, I heard a sound, soft, low, almost like breathing. At first, I thought it was the air system. Then I noticed Lily looking up from her notebook, eyes wide. "Mom," she whispered, "do you hear it too?" I told her it was nothing. But even as I said it, the building seemed to hum in reply, quiet, steady, almost alive. The whispers started before sunrise. The night guards talked about the walls breathing. By noon, residents complained of headaches. Chandeliers swayed when the air was still, and a window on the 42nd floor shattered without warning, shards raining down like glitter. The engineers blamed it on temperature variance. I overheard them in the hallway, their voices shaky, their eyes darting toward the ceiling like they didn't believe their own words. They were scared. Everyone was. But fear always rolls downhill. In the lobby, we maids were told to work faster, keep smiling, don't talk to the press. It was a strange kind of cruelty, not open, not loud, but sharp and cutting. Every day felt like being erased one piece at a time. Then, one morning, he came down, Ethan Rockwell himself. I'd only seen him from afar before, tall, immaculate, with eyes that looked like they could price everything they touched. That day, though, he looked furious. His reflection in the mirrors I'd just cleaned was distorted by anger. "Who the hell polished this glass?" he barked, holding his phone up to record a faint tremor rippling across the wall. I froze, rag in hand. "Do you people even do your jobs?" he snapped. "Maybe the building's shaking because the staff is as sloppy as the floors they mop." His voice echoed off the marble. People stopped, looked, then pretended not to see. My hands trembled. I whispered, "Yes, sir," because that's what people like me are trained to say, even when it burns your throat. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Lily. Her pencil had stopped moving. Her jaw was tight, her little fists clenched around her sketchbook. That was the moment something changed, not in the tower, but in her. I could feel it. She looked at Rockwell like she could already see the crack in his world forming, and someday she would be the one to split it open. A week later, the hum turned into a growl. It started as a faint vibration in my shoes, then a deep, rolling tremor that made the chandelier sway and the mirrors quiver. People panicked. Investors demanded answers. Engineers quit overnight. Every morning, new cracks appeared, not just in the marble, but in people's confidence. Then came the meeting. Rockwell ordered everyone to the main boardroom, investors, designers, press, even us, the cleaning staff, because he wanted coffee service while the world watched him save his tower. The room was pure theater, cameras rolling, suits sweating under hot lights. Rockwell stood at the head of the table, pounding a stack of papers. 3 firms. Millions of dollars. And none of you can tell me why my building is shaking. His voice ricocheted off the glass walls. I kept my eyes down, pouring coffee for people who wouldn't meet mine. Lily sat in the corner, sketchbook on her knees, tracing the spire from memory. She whispered, almost to herself, "Mom, it's the wind." I froze. Sure, sweetheart. But Rockwell heard. He turned, incredulous. What was that? His grin widened when he saw who spoke. The maid's daughter has the answer. Laughter rippled through the room. Even the investors chuckled nervously. Lily didn't flinch. She met his stare. Yes. The wind, she said softly. Rockwell smirked, feeding on the attention. Perfect. Let's make this interesting. He raised his voice for the cameras. If you think you're smarter than my engineers, prove it. Do it live, right here. If you're right, I'll pay you $100 million. He paused, his smile turning cold. If not, your mother's fired. And she'll never work for me, or anyone in my network, again. I felt the room spin. Please, sir, she's just a child. But the words were drowned by the chorus of cameras clicking, reporters murmuring, investors smirking. It wasn't a meeting anymore. It was a spectacle. Lily looked up at me once, calm and steady. It's okay, Mom, she whispered. He doesn't understand the music yet. And as Rockwell laughed, the floor beneath us trembled again, like the tower itself was holding its breath. The room went still, that heavy, electric kind of silence that feels like before a storm. Rockwell leaned back in his chair, smirking for the cameras. Well, little genius, enlighten us. Every lens turned toward my daughter. I wanted to grab her hand and run, but she was already walking forward, small, deliberate steps that sounded louder than the laughter around her. She stopped in the center of the boardroom, placed her sketchbook on the table, and said softly, I just need a glass of water. Someone snorted. Is she thirsty or solving physics? But Rockwell, amused, gestured to an assistant. Fine. Give the prodigy her water. Lily knelt, placed the glass on the floor, and waited. The hum came again, low, deep, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. Ripples shivered across the surface of the water, perfectly synchronized with the vibration. See, she said. It's not random. The building's singing. Murmurs filled the room. Someone whispered, What did she say? Rockwell frowned. The buildings. What? She looked up at him. You made the tower too perfect. Every decorative fin outside is the same length, the same spacing. They're like the pipes of a flute. The wind doesn't just pass through them, it plays them. There was a pause, the kind that splits a moment in two. Lily flipped open her sketchbook. Inside were her diagrams, the spire drawn like a musical instrument, with notes where vibrations aligned. It hums because it's in harmony, she said. You don't have to rebuild it. Just break the rhythm. Add random panels. Change the tune. The engineers gathered around, stunned. One of them opened his laptop, ran a simulation using her suggestion, randomized wind flow with altered fin lengths. The result flashed on the screen. Vibration amplitude, 0. The hum stopped. Even the silence felt different, like the tower had taken its first real breath. Cameras clicked. The live stream chat exploded. People around the world had just watched a billionaire's arrogance collapse under the quiet brilliance of a maid's daughter. Rockwell stood frozen, face pale, eyes darting between Lily and the motionless water glass. He had built the tallest monument to pride in Manhattan, and a child had just fixed it with a pencil and a glass of water. I watched him then, realizing the trap he'd set, public humiliation as entertainment, had closed on him instead. And the applause that followed wasn't for him. It was for her. The next morning, the city woke to headlines that felt unreal. Maid's daughter saves $2 billion tower. Child genius silences the singing spire. And beneath them all, Ethan Rockwell's name, no longer followed by visionary, but by humbled. He had no choice but to keep his word. The cameras that once filmed his mockery now recorded his apology. In front of the press, he announced the creation of a $100 million trust in Lily's name, money she would receive on her 21st birthday. He called it an investment in the next generation of problem solvers. but I saw it in his eyes, guilt, not generosity. That same week, he promoted me. Director of Structural Integrity, he called it. The title felt too heavy for my uniform, but I wore it anyway. My hands still smelled of disinfectant the day I signed the contract. The Horizon Spire was repaired within months, silent, steady, and beautiful again. People began calling it the tower that learned to listen. And maybe, in a way, it really had. Because every time the wind brushed its windows, it no longer hummed, it whispered. Years passed. Lily grew into the woman she was always meant to be, quiet, brilliant, and compassionate. She studied engineering, not because she wanted fame, but because she believed buildings should protect people, not frighten them. When she turned 21, the trust unlocked. But instead of buying luxury, she built a foundation, scholarships for underprivileged children who dreamed in blueprints and equations. She said she wanted to give others what she had never been given, a chance to be heard. Every year, on the anniversary of that day, a letter arrived at our door, written in the same elegant hand.
No signature, no seal.
Just 7 words on thick, cream paper. You didn't just fix my building, you fixed me. I never told Lily who sent them. She didn't need to know. Some lessons, even for billionaires, are learned quietly. And sometimes, the smallest voice in the room, a maid's daughter with a sketchbook and courage, can change the sound of an entire city. Because once upon a time, the wind tried to break us. But we listened and taught it to sing.